Hello there, thank you so much for stopping by. My name is ChitChad and welcome back to another episode of Planet Coaster, where we are working on the Super Mario Super Theme Park. Today is going to be a fun episode because we are going to be giving the entryway to the park a new update. We're actually going to be utilizing the monorail station that I made for the old video game theme park way back in the day, and we're going to be using it to make the station for the Mario Odyssey People Mover Attraction Transportation Ride. That is a mouthful. I'm glad that I was able to get it out without I messed it up. I meant to say stumbling, and I stumbled on stumbling. Oh, the irony. Oh, the sad, sad irony. All right, I'm going to leave now. I'm leaving forever. I'm done. I'm quitting. It's over. Shut the channel down. I'm just kidding. Put down the dislike buttons and the unsubscribes. I promise I'm not going anywhere. But today we're going to be working on this station and we are going to be adding some cool theming elements. We're going to make a Mario face that'll go on the front of this because I really feel like we needed something that had a little bit more pizzazz than the current ticketing booth that we had. So we're going to make we're going to make a Mario face. It's going to be fun. And we'll actually eventually also make a Bowser face that will go over in the Bowser's Kingdom, because once I built the Mario one, I was so happy with how it turned out. I'm like, oh, I should make more of these. This was actually kind of cool, and I didn't have to worry about making it super three-dimensional like I do with the statues. So it made my life a little bit easier, but you'll see once we get into it, because there was like the hat. The hat caused me a bit of trouble. And you'll also see that I'm going to move a couple of things around towards the entryway just to make the sight line a bit more appealing. Because once I built this new taller section to the ticketing booth that becomes the station, I noticed that some of the signs were a bit obscured as you would walk through there. So you'll see a couple things just get moved around as we kind of fit this new station into the ticketing booth and blah, 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 blah. You get what I'm trying to say. You understand, hopefully. Hopefully I'm making sense. It's late. It's very late. I'm recording very late at night. I'm tired. I'm sleepy. But the episodes must go on. And while we're on the topic of Mario, I've actually started playing the Mario Rabbids game again. I downloaded the Donkey Kong DLC, which I've been meaning to play for quite some time. And seeing as when Allie and I are just kind of hanging out and playing video games, she's normally playing Kingdom Hearts 3, and I'll sit down with the Switch and play some Mario Rabbids Kingdom Battle, but I had beaten that game already, so I was just like, I need something to play, because basically, like, the Switch, we have Breath of the Wild, which we both completed, we have Mario Odyssey, which I completed, we've got Smash Brothers, and then we have Rabbids, and I also have the Mega Man X Legacy Collection Volume 1. Because Volume 2 are games that I never played, so I just got Volume 1. Because I didn't think they even had both at the time. I think there was only just the 2. So I'll just get the 1. So that's really all we got on the Switch. But I decided to buy the DLC because I love that game so much. And the Donkey Kong, I saw a trailer for the Donkey Kong DLC for it, and it just looked really, really fun. And it is. Like, it continues the wonderful characterization of the Rabbids as Mario characters, because one Rabbit is basically Cranky Kong, and the Princess Peach Rabbit, she's so freaking funny. I love that character so much. I know they made like a little figurine of her, and I want it. It's so good. That game is so dang witty. I don't know if they changed something though, because while I was playing it, the music wasn't as like prominent. And I went into the settings and I didn't see anything really that I could change to like boost the music up. And I don't know if that's in the main menu. I'll have to check it out. But I was playing it. I was just like, where's my Grant Kirkco? Where is that wonderful composer's music? Especially when it's like going back to Donkey Kong, man. That's some rare bread and butter right there, man. That should be super easy for that guy. And there's some good tracks in it, but I don't hear them as often as I remember hearing the general Mario tracks in the main game. But I've been playing a little bit of it, and Donkey Kong's moveset is really stinking cool. I really enjoy playing as him, and I don't think there's any other characters beyond Peach, the Rabbids Peach, Cranky, and then just regular old DK. I don't know if you like meet other characters in that game or in that DLC, but I'm happy with just those characters because they're really fun to play. Cranky's got like this bow, like a crossbow, and Donkey Kong just has like his fists but his moveset's ridiculous. He can like swing from different platforms. He can grab enemies, turn them into like a little ball and throw them into other enemies or into boxes that have special effects, whether it's explosives or like the spring traps or anything like that. It's a lot of fun. Definitely adds a variance to the game that the main campaign did not have, so it's kind of cool. As you can see, I was really trying to figure out what I wanted to have for above the main ticketing booth, just because now that this building's kind of sitting over it, it didn't make sense to have the skylight that we had in the previous build. So I was trying to think of something that would look cool visually, but also not kind of get in the way, because it's kind of a confined space that we're working with. So it's just trying to make sure that everything kind of fits together without looking like something's broken, you know what I mean? Because a lot of intersecting parts, and this is something that I need to do more often. That's add these kind of like string lights to things that I build, because there's just a nice detail. And I don't know about y'all, but I kind of forget sometimes, like, oh yeah, I could turn this into night, and we need lighting throughout the park. And I was really diligent about that when I was over in the Toad Town and Yoshi coaster, and then especially diligent for the Luigi's Mansion ride, because the time of day is always set to night while the passengers are riding that ride, because a lot of the effects need to be in perfect dark in order to work properly. So it's encased, and not only encased, but it's also got the lights turned out. So all the lighting is like super, what's the word? Effective, like direct, I guess is the word I'm trying to use. But I kind of need to add that to the buildings themselves, because I'll place like the spotlights and stuff underneath the ground, so we at least have some lighting throughout the park. But I definitely like adding just those string lights, because it's such an easy detail to add, but it adds so dang much. I always think of Main Street, like everything's lit up on Main Street at night, and it just looks so, it looks so inviting and so vibrant and so full of energy and life. And again, it's just an easy detail, and just adding it. Lighting is such a huge, important factor. And that's something that I always remember when, as soon as I started thinking rides and attractions more as art and, the blend of art and technology, it was one of those things where as a kid, you don't really think, oh, why do I look behind once we enter this show building, because you could see all the lighting. You don't even think about that. You're so entertained by what you're meant to look at that you don't think like, oh, well, that's the projector up there, and over there is where they have the gels on the light to give it a blue hue. Like, you don't think about that kind of stuff until you're older. But I always find like looking at that stuff really entertaining, and especially like checking out creators that go behind the scenes on stuff like that. There's plenty of YouTube channels out there that do that and do it really stinking well, especially like the build process. Defunct Land is one of my personal favorites right now. I think is it TPM Vids? I think it is. It's called TPM Vids Disney Beat. Yeah, I was just making sure that I was saying that right. They are also a wonderful channel. They pretty much talk about Disney, but Disney parks have a lot of history and have a lot of fascinating like behind the scenes stuff. So they're a really cool channel to check out. I highly recommend both of those. And there's another one that's really fun to check out. It's called Yesterworld. They also do a lot of behind the scenes stuff and talk about attractions that are no longer around, which is also super entertaining. And it's kind of nice to be able, like, there's documentation on a lot of those experiences that just aren't around anymore. And it's cool to be able to kind of take a trip down memory lane. Like, for me, some of the rides that I miss the most, like, if I had to pick a few, with all my heart, I miss Back to the Future. I love The Simpsons, and I've talked about this on this series, but I love Simpsons. I love Futurama. I even really like Disenchantment, which is his new series on Netflix. But I don't like the ride at all. I'll be real. I don't like the ride at Universal at all. I miss Back to the Future. Back to the Future, growing up, besides Star Wars, was probably my favorite trilogy. It's one of those ones that I could watch just over and over and over again, because I thought each movie was just great in its own like design. Like, every movie I thought was just like solid. And that's really hard for a trilogy to pull off. Like, I love Jurassic Park, but I don't like the other two movies all that much. I would just watch Jurassic Park. With Star Wars even, I would watch Empire Strikes Back more than any of the other ones. And Back to the Future, I would say probably the second one I watched the most because I was, hoverboards, man, of course. Everyone wanted a hoverboard, but I could watch all three of those and be just as entertained. So I really miss that ride a lot, and I'm gonna miss the original Jurassic Park a lot too. I remember riding that thing when I was very young, and the animatronics were still very fresh and very new and just looked pristine. And the T-Rex at the end looked genuinely more ferocious than it did, right before it closed. But I'm trying to think what other rides I'm gonna really miss. I never got the chance to ride Alien Encounter over at the Magic Kingdom, which I always really regret. I remember being there when that ride was in operation, but the rest of the family didn't want to go on it because they thought it was just like a show, and we wanted to go ride, I don't know, like Space Mountain or something. Or maybe it was just that we were running out of time, I think we had done more than just the one park that day. So I don't remember the circumstances because, like I said, I was very young, but I wish I had the opportunity to ride that ride because I've seen videos of it, but the videos don't do it justice because it's much more of a felt experience and a visual experience. And it just looked really, really cool. I did go on the Stitch Alien Encounter redub, and I guess I don't dislike it as much as I think a lot of people do. Maybe it's because I just genuinely love Stitch as a character. I love his character design. I love Lilo and Stitch. It's up there on my Disney movie favorites. It's not the top, but it's definitely high up there. But I've seen the animatronic Stitch after they said, oh no, it's not going away, but then some leaked photos came up online where the Stitch animatronic almost I don't want to say maliciously, but it definitely, why do they need to strip it of its fur? What purpose does that serve? Are they going to repurpose the animatronic for something else? Because it genuinely looks like something horrific. I don't know if any of y'all seen the photos, but it's pretty easy to find online. They stripped a lot of stuff off the Stitch animatronic. The eyes are missing, the fur is missing. It just looks like a Five Nights at Freddy's nightmare fuel induced thing now. It's terrifying. I don't know why they needed to do that. It would have been cool if they were able to preserve it and put it in some kind of archive or somewhere else as paying tribute, but nope. Gotta repurpose that fur, man. That stuff's expensive. Well, I don't know, Mickey. That seems pretty unnecessary. Oh, what do you know, Goofy? You don't pay the bills. I pay the bills. I pay for you. I pay your bills. Don't talk back to me. The mouse has spoken. There's another one that's Disney, seeing as we're on the Disney train, that I greatly miss, and that's the original sub attraction at Disney, the 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea, which is now the Finding Nemo submarine voyage. I was so obsessed, and I've talked about this too, man. I was so obsessed with that ride. That giant squid at the end was the coolest thing ever, and I would really like to go to Japan one day and go to Tokyo Sea, because that whole area is very Jules Verne themed. It's very cool, and they've got a 20,000 Leagues themed experience there. It's kind of just a walkthrough, but there's a giant squid segment that looks really stinking cool. And also there's a dragon animatronic, and I think it's the one in Euro Disney, which it's under the castle, and there's this really cool dragon animatronic that's super slick, really cool movement on it. And that would be really fun to see. There's been, I'm trying to remember who I saw recently. It might have been Attractions 360, which is another, SoCal Attractions 360, which is another YouTube channel. And I think they did a round world trip and hit every Disney theme park. That would be such a dang cool experience just to be able to go to all of those. And I actually knew a guy, when I used to do conventions, I used to do a lot of booths and sold my artwork and stuff like that. And I knew this guy who was a Disney fanatic. All of his artwork was Disney themed. He's a very, very talented artist. Really cool stuff. His name is Artist Abe. So if you like Disney artwork, definitely check that guy out. And I think he's been to every single Disney theme park, even the newest one that opened up in China. And that'd just be a cool experience. There's so many awesome, specific experiences there that you really can't get anywhere else, because with California, the technology is kind of where it was at when it was built. So a lot of the stuff is like retrograde, retrofitted, retro adapted to kind of fit our new technology. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it's nice to be able to keep some of those old experiences, like a lot of Fantasyland, with like Mr. Toad and Pinocchio and all that. But it's also to kind of see, it's cool to see what new technology does with even a ride that's been around for a while, like the redub of a ride. So it's just, it'd be so cool to be able to experience all that. And I don't know if y'all saw the teaser for the Beauty and the Beast attraction that I believe is also going up at the Disneyland in China. But it's a trackless ride vehicle, if I'm remembering correctly. But they showed off some of the animatronics, and holy cow, they've gotten good. They've gotten so good with that fluid motion. I was just like, man, this looks like someone rendered this in 3D. Like, this looks too smooth to be a freaking animatronic, and it is, and it's incredible. And I'm just like, just another thing, man. Had all the money. If I had all the money in the world, but c'est la vie, maybe one day. Getting back to what we're actually building in this park, because I know I tend to trail off a little bit, so I apologize. I just get so interested in talking about theme parks and animatronics and stuff, We're now working on that Mario build that I was talking about, and I was really happy with how this turned out. The cap specifically gave me a run for my money. I didn't know exactly how I was going to make it work, because this isn't exactly a 3D build per se, like a statue. But I didn't want it to just be like a flat sign, of a Mario face. I wanted it to have some layers to it, some depth, especially when like the shadows hit it. It just makes the eyes and the eyebrows and the nose, especially, because every character in Mario's got to have a very interesting nose. I was actually talking about the design of Yoshi with a colleague today, because I find Yoshi very, very entertaining character design wise, because if you were to look at Yoshi from a front view, Yoshi's nose pretty much takes up almost the entirety of his face. But alas, we are at the end of today's episode. We're going to continue working on the People Mover in the next few episodes. It's going to be a lot of fun. Can't wait to share it all with y'all. And thank you so much for watching. I genuinely appreciate it. And as always, I will chat with you on the next episode.